It's the Empty Room Podcast, episode 13. Tonight we talk about a Twitter topic. Where is Richard Simmons? What's the coolest thing you ever found in a plate of ribs? All dogs go to heaven, and we forget Ron Jaworski's name. All and more in this episode, the 13th episode of the Empty Room Podcast. Welcome. Welcome, everybody. It's the Empty Room Podcast. It's episode 13. I am your humble announcer, Scott, and with me... Wait a minute, am I humble, Eric?
No,
I'm not humble. Well, yeah, I am. What are you talking about? And with me is Eric, and it is the episode 13, our Christmas episode, Eric.
Christmas episode. Merry Christmas, everybody.
Merry Christmas, everyone. It's going to be festive, and
Happy Hanukkah.
it's snowing outside, and we had Christmas cookies, but I ate most of them, so I'm sorry about that.
You bastard.
They were sweet and yummy.
Did they have frosting?
No, we didn't have the frosting. We had a lot of gingerbread stuff.
Ginger snaps.
Yeah, I was at a party, and they were giving away the ginger snaps. But these gingerbread cookies were shaped like kung fu artists, and it was pretty awesome.
All right, that's impressive. I like that.
Pretty awesome. So, yes, Empty Room Podcast, episode 13. We're going to start off with the sports today, Eric. Are you ready to get your sports on?
I am ready.
Let's start with a very interesting story, and that would be Kobe Bryant passes Michael Jordan for most points in a career in the NBA. Eric, do you care?
Is that what he passed him? I thought you passed him on the all-time scoring list.
Yeah, most points in a career. They're but one and the same.
Are they?
Yes.
All right, I got confused. Anyway.
They're one and the same,
no,
Eric.
the
He
way-
scored more points in a career than MJ now.
All right, fine. The way you said it, though, was that, it seemed to me like you thought MJ was number one when he's, in fact, not.
He was third, right? I mean,
He was-
Kareem was number one.
Kareem's number one.
Right.
But now Kobe is number 3 and MJ is number 4.
Right, and the whole process brought on this whole ridiculous idea that Kobe Bryant was a better player than Michael Jordan. Because they're similar, they're shooting guards. They both had, very similar skill sets. But, I found it ludicrous. Michael Jordan's the best basketball player I've ever seen. The way he did things on the court was magical. And you're talking 6 championships. You're talking a billion scoring titles. You're talking all the wonderful things. Oh, great defensive player, by the way. Michael, and I had a quote from Reggie Miller who said, on Michael's worst day is Kobe's best day. And I thought that was very accurate.
Yeah, I mean, just for sheer length of time, it took Kobe, 19 years?
19 years.
To get to be 1 point ahead of Jordan, I mean, at the time.
And he plays bad basketball. I mean, there was like 3 or 4 years where Kobe would literally get the ball and shoot it every time he touched it.
Yeah.
I mean, he doesn't play well with teammates. He doesn't defend at the level that Michael did.
But I'm just talking about point scoring at this point.
Yep.
It took Kobe 19 years to get to this moment of passing Michael Jordan. Jordan got to this point in a what? It was only like a 13-year career.
Yeah, he did not stay
He didn't
in
stick
the
around.
league nearly as long as Kobe did. Although I'm convinced that if you took Michael now at 45 or whatever he is, he could still score 10 to 15 points a game.
Probably. Yeah.
That whole Washington Wizards part of his career was amazing because you could see that physically he wasn't the same guy anymore. He had a bad knee. He was physically strong, way strong, and he still was a dominating player after reaching 40. So, yeah, I know there's a lot of ESPN fanboys that love Kobe and think he's an amazing player. I'm going to say it flat out. You're wrong. He's not better than Michael, and there's just no comparison. Michael Jordan changed the game, and he changed the game so much so that no one's even come close to him. And there's a lot of guys that think LeBron's up there, and I totally disagree.
No.
LeBron doesn't have the skill set
Not even close
of Michael Jordan. He doesn't have the basketball IQ of Michael Jordan. He doesn't play defense like Michael Jordan.
He's just a big, strong guy that takes it to the rim.
That's
right. That's all he does.
Which led to the greatest bit in Empty Room Podcast history.
Because
who is better than LeBron James? And I'm here today to tell you very easily, and I've probably said it before, Michael Jordan is extremely better.
I can't believe we're talking about this again.
And no, I mean, you're talking about Michael Jordan here, and you're talking about Kobe passing him, and ESPN and all those fanboys making it a big deal. It's kind of a big deal because the dude played in the league 19 years, but you can't compare the two players.
No, you can't. Jordan's better. Kobe is not.
Yeah, and people forget when he won those championships, there was one big motherfucker named Shaquille O'Neal that was on that team. Mm-hmm. And Shaq did a lot of lifting in those seasons. So, I know Kobe's always wanted to be like Mike. I know Kobe is a very good basketball player. I do not want to take that away from him. But when you're comparing Bryant with Jordan, it doesn't compare.
Not at all.
All right, our next story in the sports world. I know, Eric, you're a giant fan of Johnny Manziel, Johnny Football.
No.
No, he's not a fan. No.
I don't like him at all.
Well, he got hhis first start last weekend.
And how did it go?
He got smacked around by the Cincinnati Bengals.
Like a bitch!
30-0. 30-0. And the worst part was, for Mr. Football, was that he was sacked many, many times, and every time he was sacked by the Bengals defensive ends or linemen, they would stand up and do his money sign, where they, whatever it is, the little thingy that Johnny
money
does
fingers
when things go well. Well, things were going well for the Bengals, and they were making some money that day.
Oh man, that was wonderful.
Yeah, and it's interesting for guys like us who are from in the New England area. Hoyer was a backup to Brady. We sort of like Hoyer, He was a good guy. So I was surprised when they benched him for Manziel, and then Johnny Football goes in and gets beat by 30. But
it's absolutely destroyed. I mean, it was like a deer in headlights. Like, I don't know what's going on.
There was no money fingers coming from Mr. Manziel this past week, and I think he's going to get the start again this Sunday coming up. And
I hope he gets sacked 12 more times.
I hope he's better than he looked last. And the other thing too, and this was so correct by the NFL pundits, guys. Who are the ex quarterbacks that talk about it? It's the Eagle.
Boomer?
Not Boomer. Well, Boomer was one of them, but the one guy. We all know him.
We all know him.
He was scared to death of Lawrence Taylor. I can't remember his name.
Joe Theismann?
No, not Joe Theismann. I'm sure Joe Theismann was scared of Lawrence Taylor, but that's not the story I'm thinking of is that this particular quarterback, and you got to help me with the name. He was the Eagles quarterback, and they were playing the Giants, and Lawrence had sacked him 2 times already, and Lawrence was talking to him the entire time. So he gets under this quarterback again. Find that name for me, Eric.
I don't know it.
He gets under center. Scans the defense and can't find LT. He doesn't know where he is. So he immediately calls timeout because he just doesn't want to get hit anymore. LT had been substituted out of the game. He was so scared of Lawrence Taylor that because he couldn't account for him on the line, he called timeout even though he had been substituted out of the game. Why can't I think of this guy's name?
I don't know. I don't even know why we're talking about this.
Well, the point is that he brought up this idea that Manziel's biggest trait was his legs, and he can't do that in the NFL. Every person that's a runner in the quarterback position in the NFL struggles.
It's kind of like Tebow, right?
Yeah, Tebow was a runner. Vic was a runner, and Vic was the most successful at it. Yeah. But that was pre-dog fighting charges and whatnot. Now he plays for the Jets and doesn't get any run. I think Mike Vick is just happy that he's got a paycheck that he can pay off his legal fees. But yeah, the idea that you can run through – no, man. The defenses in the NFL are way too fast. Those dudes are strong and fast, and if you run, they will catch you.
It's true.
So I think Manziel is better get that arm accurate because your running is not going to work here.
So that is a one-way ticket to Bus City.
Ooh. All right, next story. Patriots. This should be a standard one for us. Division title.
They're winners.
6 years in a row. They have won the NFL.
AFC East.
AFC East. I mean, no one else has done it that way. Belichick, Brady.
Isn't it like six in a row, like 11 out of the last 12 or something like that?
Yeah, it's
ridiculous.
It's ridiculous.
We do nothing but win.
The other day, though, I had heard on I think it was WEI, where they were talking about how the AFC East, in terms of competition to the Patriots, has been a disaster for many, many years. as much as we like Brady and Belichick, it's not like they've been pushed or challenged in that division. You know, you have that 1 year, I think it was the first year Rex Ryan was with the Jets, and they were kind of tough. And then there was that first year with the Dolphins that they ran the Wildcat offense, and they were kind of tough there too. All in all, I mean, the Bills never really showed much. The Jets this year are a disaster. The Dolphins, who won the first game at home, got slapped around last weekend.
Awesome.
Although Buffalo played really well, though. They beat the Packers the other day. So
yeah,
it'd be interesting to see when we get our second game. But is that on the road or is that at home? Do you remember, Eric?
Oh, I don't know.
Might have to look that up because I think we played them on the road and beat them.
It's probably at home, man.
Yeah. Well. Anyway, 6 in a row for the New England Patriots, and that's about standard now, I guess.
Going all the way, baby. It's time to get some home field advantage through the playoffs, and then go from there.
Yeah, with a win today, they get home field advantage, so that should be interesting. So we'll see how they're playing the Jets today, and
playing the Jets. Although we have some key members that are out for this game.
Right.
Got Julian Edelman out with concussion-like symptoms.
He can't spell anything right now.
Yeah. LeGarrette Blount is out for, I don't know why he's out. I don't know what his injury is.
I think he's taking a break.
How does that make sense? How does it make sense that he takes a break?
He's just taking a break.
He didn't play at all for Pittsburgh. So much so that he walked out on them.
Right, which is why right now he's taking a break. You know what? I'm going to just take a break.
Take a break. I had the freshest legs on the team, but I need a break.
He needs a break, dude. You know, sometimes you just need a break, Eric.
Yeah.
So
today is all about Jonas Gray and Danny Amendola. We
might
actually lose this game.
I thought for a while that Amendola wasn't on the team anymore. But apparently he
catches
still is.
Punts.
Apparently he still is, and he's going to play a different role.
He's the highest paid punt returner in all of football.
Well, you know, as many have said, it's a good gig if you can get it. And he signed a decent contract, and you know, a lot of people think he wouldn't be on this team if he had signed that contract. Like they're paying him, so they might as well use him for something.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, Patriots. All right, Eric. This next segment, I'm going to carry you through.
Oh, you're talking about college, aren't you?
I'm talking about college, and I'm talking about women's volleyball.
God, kill me.
I know. I'm going to carry you through this. Now,
let me take a nap.
The Final Four was BYU, Texas, Penn State, and Stanford. Stanford was the number 1 team in the country.
So you have the elites versus the frat guys or frats.
What are you talking about?
I don't know. I'm trying to make this interesting for me.
Let me finish. Okay, so we have Stanford was the number 1 team in the country. Texas was the number 2 team in the country. Penn State was the number 5 team in the country. And then you had BYU. BYU was unranked going into the tournament, and they were in the Final Four. All of a sudden, BYU stuffs the hell out of Texas, and they get to the finals. Penn State somehow stifles Stanford's quick, precise offense, and they get to the finals. Eric, BYU is the number 1 blocking team in the country. How are they unranked? No one knows. Number 2, they have a 6'8" woman on their team on the right side.
6'8"?
6'8". That's a big woman right there. And she's good. She's real good. She went off in the quarterfinals with 30 kills, 10 digs, and like 7 to 8 blocks. Monster game. Her name is Jennifer Hampson, and she didn't play for BYU last year because she wanted to focus on basketball. This year, didn't play basketball, focusing on volleyball. But after the season's over, she is going to sign a contract with the WNBA and go play basketball for a professional career.
I want to scale her.
She seems like a nice person, too. I mean, her interviews really go well. So you had BYU and Penn State in the final, number 5 team versus the unranked team. Penn State, I believe, was victorious, and Coach Rose wins another championship. He's done that many, many times. But what do you think about an unranked team getting to the finals? I mean, that hardly ever happens.
Cinderella story. It didn't have a Cinderella ending.
It's in the hole. It's in the hole. It's in the hole.
I mean, it's impressive, don't get me wrong, but it's college women's volleyball, and I just don't care.
Yeah, no, I understand that. But I think the point I want to bring up is that in all those tournaments in college sports in general, the one that's most known is the NCAA basketball men's, March Madness.
It's March Madness, baby!
All that stuff. But very rarely do you see an unranked team get to the final game.
It's very true.
It just doesn't happen. So that story in its own, BYU was a special story.
With a special lady.
And with a 6'8" right side. And their middles were both 6'4". I mean, those are big women as well. And I guess my thing is I don't understand how the top blocking team in the country is unranked. Maybe that's the thing that bothers me a little bit. But either way, a good story. And congratulations to Penn State. Got another big championship. They had an outside player. I forget her name, but she was outstanding throughout the whole tournament. So, yeah, women's volleyball on the Empty Room Podcast.
Yeah.
All right, let's go to something you do know about. Rajon Rondo is no longer a Boston Celtic. How do you feel about that, Eric?
Good.
Really?
Yeah, I didn't like him.
Really? This is news to me. I'm interested.
He was fine. I mean, he was good. Don't get me wrong, but he was never a good shooter. He was a great distributor. He was never going to score you 25, 30 points a game. He was going to get you 10, 15 with 1,000 assists and a couple of rebounds.
He has been the premier triple-double guy for the last 2 years. I mean, he's the guy that is able to get you 10 points, 15 assists, and then like 15 steals.
Yeah, I mean, sure, when it's a national game.
Or rebounds, whatever.
He's in my opinion, he's not the kind of guy you build a team around.
Which I think many people agree with you. Now, the question is, do you think they got enough for him?
No.
I mean, they got a power forward, a small forward, a point guard, and Jameer Nelson. I think the power forward is Brandon Wright, I believe, and I can't remember, forgive me, the small forward's name. And they also got 2 draft picks, number 1 and number 2. So 3 players and 2 draft picks, it's kind of a lot for one guy.
It's a lot.
Although
it isn't.
Powell went over there too.
Yeah. I mean, it's a lot in terms of quality. It's probably not enough, but it is the best deal they could have gotten.
Right. I mean, Jameer Nelson is older than me.
Yeah.
I mean, he's an old guy. Solid point guard, but a scoring first point guard. Wright is a big 6'10" power forward, kind of like Tyson Chandler, really long and good jump, good rebounder. Again, I don't know much about the small forward position guy they got. And, those draft picks are going to come in handy. For a while now, Eric, we've talked about how the Celtics have accumulated draft picks.
Oh, God. They have what? I think they have 9 first-round picks over the next 4 years.
Yeah, and it's interesting, though, because I don't know how good the talent pool in college basketball is anymore. You have a lot of parity. You have a lot of teams that are fielding sophomores and freshmen, and then they go pro. So I don't know how much – I don't know, having all these draft picks, I don't know what that's going to do for you. It's not like there's a Patrick Ewing waiting, in the draft, or
Patrick Ewing,
or Michael Jordan, or guys that you can, bet the farm on, and you're going to get a good investment. So, having all those picks, I think a lot of people think that Ainge would probably trade them off to get somebody that's solid and known.
Yeah, I guess.
So it'll be interesting to see what they do. But Rajon Rondo, the dynamic point guard, is gone, and he'll be a Dallas Maverick, and I think it's a good fit for him. I think
that's probably the place where he'll most likely succeed.
Although the West Conference is tough. I mean, it's a full boat conference.
True, but see, Rondo's always been the kind of guy, he will play up to better competition, and then he's always been the guy, he'll play up to better competition than play down to worse competition. So the better the point guard he's playing against, the better he'll play.
Yeah, and he's going to see a whole bunch of them. I mean, Tony Parker for the San Antonio Spurs is the guy that jumps out at me the most. Russell Westbrook from from the Thunder would be another guy that they'd see. There's some crappy ones like the Lakers have, and that's not fair. I like Jeremy Lin. He's a nice guy. And who's the point guard for the Houston Rockets? I forget.
Some guy.
So anyway.
You got Chris Paul.
Oh, Chris Paul for the Clippers. That's another big-time point guard you're going to see. So in your theory, Eric, Rajon Rondo should have a great second half of the season here.
Potentially, yeah.
And our last sports story, who's Vin Scully, Eric?
He's the longtime announcer for the Dodgers.
That's right. And when the Dodgers won the World Series, he got a ring too.
Well, he deserves it.
1988 World Series ring. Well, he was wearing it the other day, and he lost it when he was shopping at Costco.
Well, that happens.
It does. I mean, you're at Costco, you're overwhelmed by the prices.
And you just lose stuff.
You just lose stuff.
Maybe it's usually something as mundane as an umbrella, but Mr. Scully decided to lose his 1988 World Series championship ring.
Which is pretty expensive piece of jewelry. Now, my question that jumps out at me right now is, what the hell is he doing wearing the World Series ring at Costco?
Well,
trying to impress the ladies.
When you're getting up in age like Mr. Scully is, you want people to know. Look, I may be old, but I got myself a ring.
I got a World Series ring. What do you have? Well, he lost it though, Eric. And he was panicked, as we all would. If we lost an important ring, we would be panicked. We'd be freaking out.
Absolutely.
So the people at Costco, everyone stopped what they were doing, and they started searching for this ring that they lost.
Locking the doors, bringing down the gates. No one leaves.
Yeah, I heard it was, SWAT guys were coming from the ceiling. It was craziness and bedlam. So you'll be happy to know, Eric, that they found his ring.
Where did they find it?
They found it in the platter of ribs.
Nice.
So at some point during his Costco adventure,
Mr. Scully really wanted some ribs. He got really excited about the ribs.
He was looking at the ribs, may have even touched one apparently, and his ring slid off, and it was in the platter of ribs at Costco.
Oh, ribs. Oh, man.
That's the type of story that warms my heart, because everyone's happy at the end, and it's still ludicrous.
It's a happy ending. Plate of ribs.
Oh, man. Yeah, I mean, ribs. It doesn't go better than that. It is time for the legendary Pope Watch. Pope Watch! I know you love the Pope Watch.
I do love the Pope Watch.
The Pope is a pretty good guy.
He's a good guy.
And we have two really great stories about the Pope.
I want to hear it.
All right, let's begin with something that I think is vital for the Western culture to have. And the Pope made a tough call, but I think he made the right call. The Pope says all dogs go to heaven.
I like it.
Now, the reason this is a big deal is that the church for the longest time deemed animals to have no soul, and hence they cannot go to heaven or hell. They're just there. So the Pope, bucking tradition,
he likes the bucket,
says, you know what? Dogs and pets, they do have a soul, and they all go to heaven.
So all animals go to heaven?
I guess. I don't know for sure. He did say dogs, though.
I like it.
So the Pope, this Pope, who we love.
I really do like this guy.
He's a good guy.
He's a good guy.
He's a good guy. Has made the call and said that all of those dogs go to heaven. And that's great. Because if you go to heaven, you kind of want to see your dogs.
It's true.
It's a long trip. The dogs are always happy to see you.
And you're kind of there for a while.
You're there for a long, long time. You want to keep the pet that has made you so happy for so long.
Now, are all the dogs that we've ever had, are they going to be there?
Yeah, they all have souls.
Hope they all get along.
I would think that since the Pope deems them to have souls, that they're all in heaven. So, the dog that you had when you were a child, the dog that you had when you were an adolescent, the dog that met a weird end, cancer or hit by a car or whatever, they'll all be there.
That makes you glad.
Yeah, it's kind of a warm feeling to know that those pets who, quite frankly, we all owners of pets loves the, well, not all, there's assholes everywhere, but
bunch of dicks.
Yeah, but I mean, most normal people who have a pet love their pet, and very sad when that pet passes on. Now, see, the one thing that I would love the Pope to talk about, and because this is always in my head. If we die and have the ability to go to heaven, what will we look like? Like, think about this for a second. Let's say I live to the right age of 90, and then I pass away. When I go to heaven, I'm going to want to look like I was in my 30s and 20s because I like that look versus the 90s.
So you don't want to be walking around here,
right? And you think about the people that you've lost who lived pretty long. Like, I'm pretty sure that those grandparents and great grandparents don't want to look like they did at the end of the road. They're going to want to look like
they were when they were young men and women.
That's right. Now, when we pass away, might have a hard time recognizing those people looking like young men and women. Like, how do we be able to know?
Just gonna imagine you're up in heaven. Who the crap are you? I'm your mother.
Oh. And I would think the same thing goes for dogs. Dogs don't want to look like they looked at the end. They want to be viral and jumping around. Would we recognize our dogs?
They want to be viral?
Did I say viral?
You said viral. I think you meant vital.
Vital?
I think.
Maybe. Did you get my point, though?
I did get you.
All right, that's all I'm asking. So I would love the Pope to answer that one for me.
They'll probably look. They will probably look their prime.
Will everyone have name tags?
No.
Then how will I know?
I don't know. Maybe they have a mixer when you first get there. I don't know.
This is what I need the Pope to answer. So maybe, sometime, maybe I'll tweet the Pontiff and see if he can answer that for me.
Yeah, he'll get right on that.
All right. And the second Pope story, which is, I think, the coolest story of the Pope's week. The Pope decided to treat all the homeless in the Vatican with new sleeping bags.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah, right? You have these people who have either chosen to be there or have fallen on very, very hard times. They're using sleeping bags to sleep in, and the Pope noticed, because he doesn't really spend much time in the actual Vatican, that a lot of these are old and why not give them something new? It's Christmas anyway. He's a good guy.
He's a good guy.
He's a good guy.
He's a very good guy. I mean, it's a wonderful thing to do. Yeah, I mean, it really is a cool thing to do. Not many people would do that.
It's something that's unexpected, too.
Yes.
You wouldn't have thought that the Pope would spend money on that type of thing.
Are they high quality sleeping bags?
I would think the top of the rank there.
I would certainly hope so.
Have lots of cushioning and you
insulation.
You can zip yourself up in it.
Yeah, get nice and toasty warm, and because it's the winter time
and hide there's pockets in it to hide a sheath.
A sheath?
No,
a shiv.
A shiv. Yeah.
Ah, jeez, man.
Or a firearm if you need it. And,
Really? We're gonna be hiding firearms in our sleeping bags?
Well, if you're sleeping out in the streets, yeah, you want to make sure you have some protection. Yes.
Yeah, I suppose.
Yeah. Some guy starts trying to get in your sleeping bag. You gotta get him out somehow.
Broken bottle,
sure. You gotta do what you gotta do sometimes, Eric. So, either way, the Pope treating homeless in Rome to new sleeping bags, awesome thing. We continue to really like this Pope.
He's a good guy.
He's a good guy. It's time for the news that makes us want to booze, Eric. You ready?
Yes.
We actually have quite a few things to talk about today. We're going to ignore some of the hot stuff that's happening right now until it gets sorted out. So, the poor cops being killed and all that stuff, and some of the other horrible things that are happening. Don't want to comment on it, but we'll go through some news stuff that we do like. Let's start off with ibuprofen is linked to living 12 extra years, Eric.
I'm buying stock in ibuprofen.
Now, the ibuprofen study was only with worms and flies, but they got 12 extra years, the equivalent of, by feeding them ibuprofen. So are you going to go home and take 4 handfuls of ibuprofen?
Every single day.
It has not been tested with humans. However, they felt that the worms and the flies are relatively similar to what a human might do with that type of dosage of ibuprofen. So take your Advil and live your life, Eric.
They'll never get headaches again.
Yeah, I guess you're right. Or muscle soreness. All right, number 2. A woman in San Francisco was at JCPenney, and she was trying on a dress that she really liked. The problem was, as she was putting it on over her head, she heard something fall from the dress. It was a scorpion.
They have scorpions in San Francisco?
In JCPenney, apparently. Oh. So she freaked out, took a picture of it with her iPhone, obviously. And,
as you do when you're freaking out.
Yeah, as you do. Called the store, anybody from the store, to come in and help. Hopefully she was dressed. And they came in and saw the scorpion, tried to pick it up in a paper bag, which makes no sense.
Dumb.
And they lost it. The scorpion got into the pipes or went through a crack in the wall, and now it's gone.
That JCPenney is now closed.
I just didn't understand the paper bag attempt to pick it up. I don't think that's possible. I think you lose every time you try to pick up a scorpion with a paper bag.
Wow. How big was this thing? Was it a big one or was it a small one?
It was medium sized from what I saw.
Right.
So it was venomous. I don't know if it would kill you or not, but it would have hurt.
Well, I mean, if I remember correctly, the bigger the scorpion is, the less likely the venom is going to kill you. The smaller it is, it'll, it's nasty.
So yeah, I mean, I don't think her life was in danger per se, but she could have gotten stung and it could have hurt really bad and probably would have gone to the hospital. But now that scorpion is loose in that San Francisco JCPenney, and I don't know what kind of mayhem that scorpion has planned, but
I just like how it has a plan.
But we will learn, I'm sure, later on what that scorpion did.
He's going to become the new mayor.
All right, news story number 3. They suspect on Mars that there is life. Now, this isn't a new concept, Eric. There's a lot of people that felt that there was life on Mars. But through one of the probes that were sent out by NASA, they have found methane on Mars, little pockets of methane. So I guess NASA makes the jump that says there must be life on Earth and they must be breaking wind.
You mean life on Mars, yeah.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, the life on Mars, and they're farting up a storm.
There's no proof that the pod and the measurement didn't hear, the one who smelt it dealt it, the one who lied it supplied it.
Silent but deadly.
So Mars is stinky.
Mars just stinks,
They're letting them rip up in Mars, and maybe they'll make contact soon. I don't know.
It's like a Morse code with gas.
Okay. Salt is a contributor to headaches. That's another story. That if you limit your salt intake, your headache capabilities or probabilities will go down. Eric, are you going to limit your salt?
No.
Absolutely.
If I limited my salt, I wouldn't have to take the Advil. So if I eat the salt and I get the headaches, I take the Advil and I live 12 more years.
Perfect. All right, next. Not much else to say about that. That's just perfect. So let's move on. We have a bunch more stories. Let's see here. This one's kind of a bummer. Paying down the national debt is now mathematically impossible.
Why?
Because we'll never be able to generate that much income in our lifetimes to actually pay off the debt.
Well, I mean, it's not like we have to do it within our lifetimes.
Well, you'd like to. Right now, I think
it's not going to happen.
I think the debt right now in the United States is roughly $100,000 per every single person in the country.
Oh, we can do that.
No, I mean, I don't know what kind of job you're planning on getting, but I don't think I'm ever going to make $100,000 a year to just give to the government so that we can pay off our debt.
Someone raid Bill Gates' house.
Oh, dude! Already the top 1% is paying 50%, 40% of the tax bill.
I know.
But you would think that type of thing would worry some people in government, but I guess not. Next story, Eric. This one I think you're gonna love. There's a new bracelet that you can wear that when you press a button, it shoots out a bolt. Well, see a projection onto your arm, and it becomes a touchscreen.
What does it control?
It controls, I don't know, like pretty much anything. It's like having a remote control for your TV. You can control certain items. You
can
control
cool.
your phone or what have you. I know they make these watches now. The new iWatch, it basically is an iPhone on your arm, and it's small, but you're able to do. This is just going to project a whole thing on your forearm and allow you to use it as a touchscreen.
So you're going to buy me one of those for Christmas, right?
I don't know how much they cost, and I'm guessing no, because I would bet they cost a ton of money. But that's where the future is going, huh? It's pretty cool.
It is pretty cool. You should buy me one for Christmas.
All right, I'll think about it.
You're not thinking about it, are you?
I thought about it. It just didn't last very long. That's
fine.
Let's see.
Get you shit for Christmas.
Oh, shut your mouth. Baby born on 10/11 p.m. on 12/13/14. That's 10/11/12/13/14.
Yay, numbers. No, I think that's kind of cool.
It wasn't just one baby. There's many babies that were born at 10/11 p.m. on December 13th, 2014.
How many?
I don't know how many. I just read the story that many babies. Lots of babies, Eric.
Wow, they planned that shit down to the second, didn't they?
Yeah, well, that's what happens. I mean, you haven't had children, but when you have children, they document exactly when they're born. It's important to note.
Okay.
Well, I'm just telling you, that's what they do. I mean, it's a big deal. So this one,
just that one.
10/11. Well, the story I read was the one, but I've read other stories where there's a few. So what's babies plural? Babies?
No, it'd be babies. It'd be babies.
But many babies.
Many babies.
were born
on 10/11
p.m. 12,
13, 14.
So that's kind of cool.
Yeah, it is kind of cool.
And lastly, Eric, I feel that this is a story that you will love. There was a Dutchman.
The Dutch.
There was a Dutchman who was interested in proposing marriage to this girl. So this guy goes out, spends good money to rent a crane because I guess the girl's window was up on the 4th floor of an apartment complex. And he wanted the crane to bring him up to the window. He could knock on the window, propose. She says yes, yay, everything's great. That's his plan.
I can see this only ending in the happiest of circumstances.
Right, so I mean, it's great. So everything's going fine. He gets the crane, they park right in front of the house. They turn, the lift goes up. He's on the lift with her, and he knocks on the window. She opens the window. At that exact moment, it turns out that they had not stabilized the unit well from the car. From the they didn't stabilize the actual automobile, the truck that this thing's attached to.
Uh-oh.
As she opens the window, he feels it happening and tells her to move out of the way. And she does. She runs away. And at that exact moment, the crane enters her roof. It smashes through the chimney and the roof. And, yeah.
That's...
So Her apartment doesn't exist anymore.
Awesome.
And apparently she still said yes.
That's wonderful.
So there's a video online if you want to see it. It's pretty jaw-dropping, and I tried to explain as best I could, but literally the thing goes up and then it just tilts over and destroys the actual apartment. So he still got her to say yes, though.
He still got the girl, even though she's homeless now.
Well, maybe she just always wanted to move in with her, move in with him, and now this has to happen.
There is no choice anymore.
So, yeah, that's love right there, fellas. Eric, we've come to the end, the last segment of the Imperium Podcast, episode 13. However, I think we've talked about this, but I think we should do a mini segment inside this segment called Twitter Topics.
I like it.
These will be quick hitters, Eric. You just commentate quickly.
All right.
And but basically why we're doing this is because our Twitter page will retweet a lot of the stories, and sometimes we don't have the time to get to them. Mm-hmm. And they're on our website. We want to comment briefly on them. So, Eric, rapid fire.
Rapid fire.
Are you ready?
Yes.
Okay, 5 days till Doctor Who Christmas special. Are you ready?
Can't wait!
Easy Pass helps states clock motorist speeds. Accounts suspended for repeat offenders.
Okay, and it's just Big Brother watching us again.
It's true.
Awesome.
Thieves killed by lightning after robbing church.
Oh, well, they just had that coming.
Kangaroo punches drone out of sky.
I love that.
Let's see here. University mistakenly sends acceptance messages to hundreds of rejected applicants.
Does this mean they have to actually accept them now?
No idea. No idea. Let's see. States rush to ban powdered alcohol before it even hits the shelves.
That's probably a smart move. That can only end in disaster.
We've talked about that in previous episodes, and that's just a horrible, horrible idea. Horrible, horrible idea. Let's see. Michigan State basketball coach Tom Izzo plays Jingle Bells on the accordion.
You don't see a lot of coaches playing the accordion.
You don't see many people in general playing the accordion, Eric.
Well, that's a good point.
The first woman to earn a PhD in computer science was a nun.
I shudder to think what she needed it for.
Oh. Claim ocean contains 5 trillion pieces of floating plastic.
Well, I guess the ocean just doesn't know how to recycle, does it?
Not at all. Navy approves combat use of lasers.
Yay! We're gonna be Star Wars.
Albinos killed like animals for body parts used in potions. Holy shit!
Oh man, no, this is not good.
That's not good at all. Don't do that. 20,000 loot taken from checked luggage by bag handlers. I knew they reached into our pockets when they took our bags.
Fucking assholes.
Shocking news: electric eels exert remote control over prey.
All hail our new overlords.
A Pope question we haven't talked about. Pope sacks the head of the Swiss Guard for being too strict.
New England signs him a day later.
Oh, no. Oh, no. Is that it? Do we have any more? Oh, how about this, Eric? Want to avoid second helpings? Electric shock bracelet promises to help.
Oh, good. For those people who can't get to the nut farm to have your brain scrambled by electricity.
Oh.
Wear it on your wrist.
Oh, my goodness. I don't know if I want that at all. Eesh. And I think that's all we got for today. That's a good segment. I like that.
I like that. We should do that more often.
Yeah, we might have to. Okay, so we're at the entertainment section. We have a couple things we want to talk about before we hammer home the big one at the end. Monty Python's song, Always Look at the Bright Side of Life, is the #1 song played at funerals. I'm surprised. Irony! I'm surprised.
I'm actually not surprised by that. I think it's a nice little song that, helps you leave with a smile on your face after burying your loved one.
Oh, my goodness. For those of you that haven't seen it, it's The Life of Brian, right?
Yes.
The Life of Brian, Monty Python's movie. And at the end, Brian and a couple of his followers get crucified. And as they're sitting there and Brian's really upset, the guy next to him starts singing Always Look on the Bright Side of Life. And it's a wonderful tune.
It's a wonderful tune, and and it's so funny the way the scene looks.
It's amazing.
It's this guy saying "Always look on the bright side of life," while being on a cross.
Yeah,
while he's hanging on a cross. It's like you just don't expect stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean it's a weird comedic.
But it's a nice uplifting song. It actually doesn't surprise me that it's the top song played at funerals. Because people want to be happy when people die.
I have noticed as of late, and again, I don't go to many funerals, but the ones that I have attended, a lot of times now they're trying to celebrate the person's life instead of really focusing on the fact that that person's no longer with us. So if you know the lyrics from Always Look on the Bright Side of Life, it is kind of a nice, I don't know, it provides people with an idea that, hey, it's going to be okay.
Yeah.
And I think that's
the point.
That's the point. So I think that's, again, I was surprised because it is a song that I wouldn't connect with with a funeral scene.
Yeah.
But it makes people understand that it's okay. That's a good thing. And I know Eric Idle likes that song. So.
Well, yeah.
Yeah. Ernie Hudson to play Poseidon in the Once Upon a Time TV show. Do you care?
No.
Not at all?
I mean, I like Ernie Hudson and all, but not exactly news.
What was the last thing he was in?
I don't know.
What was the thing we know him from the most?
Well, Ghostbusters, obviously.
Oh, do you think he'll get a cameo in the new Ghostbusters movie?
Unlikely.
Oh.
Well, I don't know. Maybe
he just jumps in and goes, I love this town.
I don't know.
So, yeah, he'll be on the screen coming up. The president gets confused with James Franco and Joe Flacco.
Well, that's the confusion anyone can make.
That's true.
They look exactly alike.
Do they?
No, not at all. It's stupid.
That's kind of weird. Yeah, Kate Upton, People's Sexiest Woman.
Who cares?
People magazine.
No shit. People cares?
Yeah. I guess not. This one's tough. Richard Simmons is missing.
He's not missing. He's in his house. Just no one's seen him in a year.
He might be stuck in a closet somewhere for all we know. He's a small man. He's not a big dude, and someone needs to lead the Sweat into the Oldies. I'm sorry.
Well, I mean, it's a weird thing because no one seems to know what the hell's going on. His friends are worried. People are saying, "Oh no, he's fine." Apparently, his gardener is guarding the door for some reason.
You know what this feels like? It feels like Casey Kasem.
It does kind of feel like that.
It feels like Casey Kasem's thing where we've talked about it on previous episodes, but Casey Kasem, before he passed away, had a new wife that really wanted his money.
really wanted his money.
And like she was basically hiding him from his kids and his relatives. This has sort of a similar feel to it.
It has a similar vibe to it, but I'm not gonna. I don't think that's the situation. I think just something bad has happened to him.
Well, there was talk that his dog died, which is depressing, and there was talk about a
a
knee injury. And he's old. He's not a spring chicken anymore.
Well, no, I don't know. He's an older guy. I mean, but it's just some of the reports like, oh, his dog died, so he's wallowing in misery for the last year. Are you kidding me?
You really love that dog.
You really love that dog. I mean, I love my dog, and, when, she passes, it's going to be really sad, but I'm not going to be crying for a year.
Crying for a day is okay, but a year, it's a little extreme. But he's an extreme guy. Eric.
He is an extreme guy. I mean, yeah, he's very gregarious. He's very extroverted, really outgoing and whatnot. But and then another story was that he injured his knee and it caused depression. I'm like, okay, I stubbed my toe yesterday. I'm not sad about it. It hurt, and I got over it.
What if it's kind of like dodgeball, where the guy falls off the wagon and gets really heavy again, and that's the situation we're dealing with.
Well, he used to be
He was a big. His story was that he was a very large person, for lack of a better word. He was very fat, had a lot of fat. He wasn't a fit-looking guy, and he was on the verge of falling apart, like diabetes. I want to say something. Almost happened to him.
Yeah, he pulled himself back from the brink and lost a ton of weight, and
the way he did it was dancing to 80s rock. And that's fine. And
that's great. I mean, if that's what works for you, that's great. That's awesome.
And then he took that experience and made it into a multi-million-dollar situation where he was saying, look, he was the type of guy that it doesn't matter what you look like. We can do this together, and we can,
extremely inspirational guy. I mean,
it's funny. A lot of those types of people that do it now, the whole Biggest Loser stuff. I mean, that was all started with Richard Simmons. I mean, he's the godfather of the weight loss entertainment.
Yeah.
And, he played a significant role, and there's people that love that man. I mean, tons of people that love that man due to the ability to help them lose weight and feel better about themselves and make their life last longer. Not through ibuprofen, but through exercise.
And just as an aside, nothing to do with the weight loss stuff, but there was an old show, Whose Line Is It Anyway?
Oh, yeah.
You remember the American version with Drew Carey?
Right.
Late 90s or whatever it was. The funniest episode I've ever seen was with Richard Simmons on it.
I've seen it. It's brilliant. It's unbelievable.
I could not stop laughing the entire time.
It is unbelievable. Check it out on YouTube. Richard Simmons on Whose Line Is It Anyway? You laughed for tears. Like it's unbelievable how crazy that show was that day.
But I mean, whatever's going on with him now, I hope he gets himself out of it and he gets better and continues to do his inspirational work.
Yeah, I mean, it's his life's work. I mean, I'd be surprised unless something really bad has happened to him and they're hiding it. I don't see him not returning to that type of work because that's what he does.
For some reason, this kind of they're saying injury or whatever. This kind of things, for some reason, it just hits me that something's telling me that he's sick. He's like very, very sick. Something like.
I mean, it goes back to what we said. It had, Casey Kasem had that sort of feel. Like Kasem had a stroke, and then he was really not in control of his life at that point. And his wife, who was determined to get his money when he passed, was flying around all over the place to try to avoid his kids. And at the end of the day, Kasem does pass. They try to get a look at the body because the kids have said that she's abusing him, and she flew the body to Norway, and now his body's decomposing in Norway somewhere. This sort of feels like that type of story. Maybe he's ill. Maybe he's, I don't know. But, I hope it doesn't end like that. I hope we see him back. Because no matter what you feel about him, he's an interesting person. Like the way he does his business, the way he wants to help people. I mean, that's the type of thing, more people need to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Now, obviously, he made good money through this, but he also provided a lot of joy and a lot of things that help save people. So, I have no problem with the fact that he made money off the things that he loves to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's an interesting guy, and I really sort of hope that that he's fine, and hopefully we see him out in public again sometime soon, and it's not a tragedy like the Kasem story was.
Yeah.
All right, the last story of the day we're going to talk about, and this is a good one, man, is the Sony hacked story. Now, Sony makes movies, and they had a movie lined up called The Interview with Seth Rogen and who was the other guy?
James Franco.
James Franco. Or it could be Joe Flacco. I don't know.
Could be Joe Flacco. I mean,
who knows?
Yeah.
And I guess I don't know much about the movie, but I guess it parodies.
Basically, what the movie is about is James Franco plays this kind of like famous interviewer, kind of like not like the serious David Frost type, but like he's kind of like a celebrity interviewer,
TMZ type of guy.
Yeah, and I don't know what kind of role Seth Rogen plays. I think it might be his producer or something like that.
And these guys have done a couple movies together to moderate success. Pineapple Express, The Night Tales, or whatever it was, where they were knights and
something like that.
Yeah, but they've done a couple movies together, and they get some good reviews and good.
But basically, this
sales.
movie is, he's Franco's an interviewer. I'm guessing Rogen is like the producer of the show or whatever, and they get a call from the a representative in North Korea for Kim Jong-un, who apparently is a huge fan of this interviewer, and wants to bring him out to interview him, and they accept. Well, and it starts out as like they're just going to go over and interview him, and then they get pulled in by the CIA. Says like, since you're going to be there anyway, we want you to kill him. So it turns into like, we're going to go over there to interview him, but we're actually going over there to assassinate him.
And they're lousy at it. Like,
it's a comedy. It's basically going to be
very similar to Spies Like Us.
Yeah, like a Spies Like Us Airplane buffoon comedy. Like hijinks ensue, nothing goes right. It's a romp basically. Is what it's supposed to be.
But it does involve the idea of going and dealing with Kim Jong-un. Well, before we continue, his father, Kim Jong-il, as well as Kim Jong-un, are big movie fans. They really like it. They've grabbed movie producers and made them make movies for him under possibilities of death or worse. And so they're giant fans, and they've gotten, and Un got wind of this movie and threatened to do something if that movie wasn't pulled. And I remember that story. It was a while back.
Yeah.
Un was like the representative of the North Korean government saying, look, don't make this movie. Bad things are going to happen. You don't poke fun at our leader. And, Sony kind of gave him the big President Screw salute and say, look, man, we're going to do what we want. So you fast forward, and all of a sudden, all of Sony's emails...
Basically, they got hacked. They got hacked by somebody this group calling themselves the Guardians of Peace, who...
Well, don't give the punchline yet. These emails get exposed.
Yeah.
And we start to hear that how Sony people feel about a lot of things. And there's some negative things towards George Clooney. There's a lot of negative things towards other celebrities. There's some racial things that are said amongst the producers. It gets ugly. And Sony is scrambling to figure out what to do about it. Now the punchline.
Well, no, this is the punchline. Yeah, they get hacked. And this group comes out saying the Guardians of Peace, and it's all based around the interview. And everyone thinks, and I guess now that they've proven, or at least the FBI says that they've proven that it was North Korea, and they threaten a 9/11 like event if the interview is released. Okay,
so all of a sudden, Sony pulls the plug.
Sony caves. Pulls the plug on the movie. North Korea, of course, is saying they have nothing to do with it. They're pretty much demanding a joint investigation to help with the problem. Coming out and pretty much saying if they don't accept a joint investigation, more bad things will happen.
Yeah, so I mean, here's the thing: making it cut and dry. Interview is going to get played. North Korean people and North Korean people, right? North Korean government, with the help, they say, of the Chinese, hack Sony's data banks, and then wants to try to help them, probably just to screw with them more. And what Eric said was true, that some violence was going to happen if this thing was showed. Sony pulls the plug, and then this is where I thought was pretty funny, where Texas and some other states decided, all right, well,
yeah, that was pretty funny. Yeah.
And all right, you won't let us screen the interview. We're basically cowing to what the terrorists want. Well, we're going to play Trey Parker and Matt Stone's Team America, World Police,
which famously depicted Kim Jong-il in puppet form, being a jackass.
Yeah,
and,
doing whatever. And then Paramount, who owns Team America,
said no,
and pulls the plug there. So we have a situation where. And Newt Gingrich, it's funny, I saw his quote on Facebook the other day where it says, America has lost the first cyber war because we decided we'd give in and not show anything. So it's a real weird situation. Nothing's really been solved yet except for the fact that the interview, no one's going to see it as of now. And somehow or another, Team America, World Police, I have my copy. I will watch it fondly. But apparently they're not allowed to show it in theater form either. Eric, do you think that this sets a precedent?
God, yeah.
That will make movies have to change the way they do business?
In terms of changing the way they do business, no, probably not.
It means you can't make a movie if it bothers certain people. I mean, now, like, let's say you make a movie that pokes fun at, I don't know, like the Australian Prime Minister. and the Australian government says, look,
we're going to lob Fosters at your heads.
Yeah, you get rid of the movie or else bad things are going to happen. What happens? The movie goes now because no one has the courage to deal with the situation. And that's what it feels like here with Sony. Like, North Korea has always been very blustery when it comes to things about them. They make threats all the time, and then they test a rocket that goes 5 feet and explodes. And they've always been that way. So I don't know. I think this sets a horrible precedent for freedom of speech. I think it sets a horrible precedent for courage in a very turbulent time.
Yeah, it's a very dangerous thing when you allow a foreign country to dictate your freedom of speech.
That's horrible.
I would hope that Sony somehow, some way, grows a set of testicles.
Well, I think the reason why they don't have testes is because they have said some rotten shit via emails, and they know that it's
everyone has said some rotten shit via emails.
Right, but you wouldn't have thought racist rotten shit. I mean,
sure. Why the hell not?
Well, my point is that there's probably a lot of stuff that they don't want. They don't want their laundry out in the open. And
a lot of their laundry is already out in the open, and I know that
maybe there's stuff that's worse.
Hey, if there's stuff that's worse, there's stuff that's worse. You really think the Guardians of Peace are going to keep that stuff to themselves?
Well, the Guardians of Peace are really North Korea.
Well, yeah, but technically, this is the group that has it, even though it's North Korea.
Kim Jong-un just waiting. He's going, all right.
Basically, it's what's happening. He's going to wait. He's going to release it anyway.
Yeah.
So you might as well just say, you know what, fuck it.
No, I agree. You got to do. You can't bow down to this.
We're going to look like a bunch of assholes for a while, but you know what? We're not going to.
Well, the good news is that it's shining lights on some rats, and maybe you get them out of there.
Sure, and that's fine, but you're going to get hit anyway. Take the hit and don't bow. Yeah. Just take it.
Well, they've already bowed.
Well, get back up.
Yeah, exactly. Get on. It used to be a situation where the United States didn't cower to anybody.
God, those were the days.
We've been. I'm shocked that. But you know what? Remember the cartoon wars a long time ago? It was probably
the Muhammad wars.
Yeah, the cartoon wars where, South Park wanted to put Muhammad on. And
it was The Simpsons first, wasn't it?
No, it was South Park. South Park wanted to use an image of Muhammad in one of their shows, and as they were going forward, there was a lot of extreme Muslim backlash saying if you show that, there's going to be violence, and Comedy Central bowed to it. And of course, South Park ridiculed Comedy Central.
Of course.
So
But I could have sworn it was a different.
Well, the original one was there was a newspaper that showed
there was
Muhammad with a bomb thing going on there.
Yeah, there was the newspaper comic. But I could have sworn either The Simpsons or maybe Family Guy.
It was all South Park.
It was all South Park?
It was all South Park. And the reason you're thinking that is because...
was it a cartoon within a cartoon?
Yeah, the reason you think that is Cartoon Wars, the 2 episodes that deal with that situation. Trey and Matt brought in Family Guy and brought in Simpsons.
Okay.
So it was all one sort of like a weird-ass cartoon.
Sorry.
And it's the one where they're gonna show an image of Muhammad, and everyone across the country is urged by the government to put their head literally in the sand and not deal with it. So as they're going, as Cartman's trying to get back to the TV special to try to get it to roll, they're driving by, and all these people are having their heads in the sand. This is not new, but at the same time it's depressing because freedom of speech means all speech, and there's been plenty of times where we talk about how what he said was racist, what he said or she said was misogynist or awful or sexually deviant or whatever, fascist, you name it, a topic. And what a lot of people fail to realize is that the First Amendment protects all speech, not just the speech we like. It's most importantly when it's used when someone says something awful. Like, the reason that exists is to protect all speech. And in a situation like this, you're basically giving power to North Korea over what the citizens of this country can watch. And that's a problem. It's a gigantic problem. And I think you're right, Eric. It sets a precedent that is really ugly. And it'll be interesting to see what kind of movies get made. Now, right now, the movie industry is on its ass. Not many people are going to see flicks. There's a lot of things that are not selling big. And now you're going to go into a situation where, well, you can't watch this because it might offend somebody else. That's a problem.
It is a problem. I don't like it.
I don't like it either. And on that note, the 13th episode of the Empty Room Podcast is completed.
It's over.
Thanks for coming, Eric, and we'll see you later on. And Merry Christmas, everybody.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. It's a wonderful time of year. Spend good time with your family and enjoy the holidays because, quite frankly, we can't watch movies.
No, we can't watch movies anymore. The next thing to go is, it's a Wonderful Life because you don't want to offend suicidal people.
Oh, Merry Christmas, movie out. Talk to you later, Eric. Thanks for coming.
Later.
That was the Empty Room Podcast, episode 13. Come check us out on Twitter, Facebook, and most importantly, our YouTube channel. Music by High Congress.